Welcome back to the DNA Pest Control Podcast. The D and the A
Are here
are here.
to
We're
answer
ready
your
to
questions.
answer your questions
Help.
and to show you actually what to do. We had this question pop up.
Mhm.
It essentially is how you get licensed in California or the process to get licensed for your branch two. And today we're going to go through that. We're going to break it down. It's very simple, guys. Just to throw it out there, it's not very complicated. It's a pretty simple process. You just got to know where to look, of course, right? Um, so me and Aaron, we went through this process. I actually never went through, and we'll get into it as the episode kind of goes on. But I never did the applicator's license. Aaron never did the applicator's license. We went straight to field rep branch two. But we'll explain what that means, especially for the guys out of state that don't know what that means,
Yeah.
because everybody's a little bit different. It seems state to state.
Mhm.
They have different structure, what you need to do kind of translates over once you understand what we're talking about and you see it. But this is how you get your branch two license in California.
Mhm.
We are also going to do another follow-up episode about the operator's license, and we're going to kind of follow Aaron as he's going through that process to get it as well. So he's not there yet. There are some steps to that. You can't just get it right away. So that you do have to go through a process. But let's jump right into it, guys. So really simple. I'm going to throw up on here on the screen. You're going to see it. Uh, Going to Google, it's really simple. You just Google the Structural Pest Control Board,
Easy.
right? I mean, really, really easy. From there, of course, you're going to click on the website itself, which is going to bring up the Structural Pest Control Board. It is going to look kind of funky if you actually get on your laptop or on your phone and do it. It'll look a little bit different.
Mhm.
But this is because it's all kind of squished on my screen as well, so
Sure.
it'll kind of come up a little weird. But as you go down the page, you're going to get to a section where you have consumers. How do I blank verify license? This is really good for anybody starting a business. You're hiring guys. You can actually go in, you can type in their name and find them
Mm.
and verify a license. And you can see if they have any tickets on them, anything outstanding against them. You can kind of dig a little deeper.
Mm.
This is also where you can go if you want to find out who owns the company or who's the operator of a branch or a company or anything like that. You can type in all their information and it'll pop up their company and everything really about them. So
Oh, see, I thought when we use it, I thought it was just for license lookup, just to see if someone has an active license. I didn't know that actually showed that much information.
it does.
That's cool.
It does. Yeah. So you click on there, you type in the name and it'll pull up everything.
Hmm.
Mhm. Yeah. If they are, even if they have an expired license, you can look it up and it'll
Oh,
tell you
really?
that they're expired. Yep. They'll tell you everything. And then even on some of the companies, it'll tell you if there's anything against the company and if there's anything outstanding against the company
Mm.
or they're in a current lawsuit against the state. Like it'll tell you that stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So very, very interesting. But below that this is the pest control industry, right? How do I become licensed?
There it is.
Okay. They even have it down here. Start a company, file a WDO report online, right? Renew my license, update my license information. This is where I would love the state to actually listen to our episode here because some of the update my license information or update company and update those things, they're really stupid.
Is it just outdated or what?
Well, it's if you come onto the company and we hire you, not me, I can't do this. You have to tell the state that you're coming onto the company so that they can move your license over to our company.
Why?
I don't know, but
Okay.
we cannot do that. You have to do that.
Have to.
Yeah, within 10 days. You have to.
Oh, geez.
They don't fine anybody or do anything because I think they know it's stupid too. But
Mhm.
it's like, I could just send you a report, guys, and tell you who's working for me. Nope.
It's too easy.
No.
It's too easy and simple.
We don't want that
Yeah.
because I can't even take off past technicians from our company. They won't let me.
That's weird.
I can say this person no longer works for us, and they'll say they have to do it.
Not on our end. They don't. Or not on our end, they still do. Yeah.
which is really weird. But nope, they do not allow it. That tech has to do it.
Weird.
Very weird. So anyway,
Cool stuff.
yeah, get a little sidetracked. Sorry about that, guys. But so here is become licensed, right? And some of the stuff underneath here we'll go over because it's part of getting licensed. But here you go, become licensed. Okay. How do I become become a structural pest control board licensee? Okay. Do not confuse this with a QAL license. If you have your QAL, you are not a structural pest control board licensee. Okay. Make that very, very clear. You have a QAL, you can spray pesticides. Yes. You cannot spray a home. Do not spray houses with a QAL license. You will get fined. But everybody outside of the state, how it works is we have a branch 1, right? So the practice relating to the control of a household and wood destroying pests or organisms by fumigation with poisonous or lethal gases. Okay. So branch 1 is a whole separate category.
WDO.
Branch 2, no, sorry, WDO.
Yeah.
That's branch 3. Branch 1 allows you to fumigate for those pests.
Okay.
So you can fumigate for wood destroying organisms with a branch 1. I know it gets confusing, but you technically are not a termite. So look, if you go down to branch 3, that's the practice retaining to the control of wood destroying pests or organisms by the use of insecticides or structural repairs and corrections, excluding fumigation with poisonous gases.
So branch 1 is just by fumigation, poisonous or lethal gases.
Yep. Branch 3 is you cannot fumigate. You have to do it in a different way.
Insecticides and structural repair. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So that's going to be tenting a house, tenting a building,
Okay.
Going into food processing plants, and you can use, you can fumigate inside though.
Okay.
Yeah. So kind of funky how they broke that up, but yes, they broke it up that way.
Got it.
So branch 2, the practice relating to the control of household pests, excluding fumigation with poisonous or lethal gases. So once again, we're restricted to just regular general pests, cockroaches, spiders, ants. You guys get it, right? So the board's 3 license types. Okay. This is where it gets even better. Because if that first part wasn't already confusing enough, they get you even better on this one. So an applicator license is a license that allows you to treat for general pests. You cannot inspect, you cannot identify, but you're allowed to treat as long as someone said, hey, this person has ants. This is how you treat for ants. Go treat for ants. Okay.
Perfect.
So, but you also can treat for termites. Because if you look up there's a branch 2 and a branch 3 under the applicator license. So you're allowed to do both. So as an applicator, you can work under a branch 2 and a branch 3 and do the work. You cannot work for branch 1. You have to have your branch 1 license to do that. So applicators are obsolete when it comes to branch 1 work. You then have your field representative. Okay. So your field representative license is what you have, right? This is prior to getting your operator's license, which I'll get into what that means. Your field rep FR license is going to be a branch 1, branch 2, branch 3. You can take it, you can pass it, you can get it. You still need to have someone sign off on your hours saying that you're qualified to do the work, but you can get that one, all those licenses fairly quickly.
Okay.
You cannot start a company yet. You're licensed to do that stuff. You can't have a company though. That still doesn't allow you to open up a business or anything like that. Below that is your operator's license. Okay. So your operator's license is where you're able to open up a company and you can run your own pest control business. That is where you have to have each category if you want to do those certain things. So if you want to tent a home, you would have to be qualified as a branch 1 operator to do that. Same with all of these: branch 1, field rep, FR, branch 1, branch 2, branch 3. Under the field rep, you have to work under an operator. So if you were a branch 3 field rep and you went to work for a branch 2 company, you technically wouldn't be able to do that. You could do it for termites, but since they don't have their branch 3 operator, you couldn't work for them. You couldn't do anything for them. you would have to get your branch 2 license to be able to work under them.
I see.
Yep. So that's why you'll see a lot of guys that will have their branch 3 and branch 2.
Got it.
And
got it.
they combine those because branch 3 doesn't work for a branch 2 and a branch 2 doesn't work for a branch 3.
But they can have them both.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Which is really stupid because you can be an applicator and you can do both.
That is really stupid.
Yeah. So there's some, when you break it down and really look at it, it's if I'm an applicator, I can do both. But if I'm a branch 3, I can't do branch 2. But if I'm a branch 2, I can't do branch 3. But if I'm an applicator, I can do it.
Makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of sense. And then you go into operator. Operator is where you actually have to have a certain amount of hours working in that branch under a branch 2 operator, or branch 3 operator, branch 1 operator, and then they have to sign off on those hours saying that you did fulfill that time to be able to become an operator at that point. Each branch office in the state of California has to have an operator. An operator can split his license into 2 branches if need be. 2 is the max. You cannot have a third. So if we have a third branch, I'm obsolete. I'm maxed out. I can't use my license anywhere else. So another branch, an operator would have to come in, use their license, and then they could use it for 2 locations.
I see.
So every branch, or in bigger companies, if there's an office, there is an operator in that office. If he's not in that office, he's in another office, but he's maxed out with 2.
Yep.
And he can't do any more. And that is per address. So if there's multiple addresses, you would have to have multiple operators. If you are running technicians out of that. If you had a corporate office, you do not need an operator in a corporate office setting. I think they would still want somebody there because they're funky anyway. The Structural Pest Control Board doesn't make sense to me, but I'm sure they would probably want somebody there. But if you're not running pesticides out of that office, I don't know if it's necessary you have an operator.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But an operator is supposed to oversee the day-to-day operations of the company. That's the idea behind an operator. He's supposed to be the checks and balances between what's going on. Any questions so far, Aaron?
I'm following along.
Okay, good. I hope everybody else is too. So here we're going to click on field representative. Okay. You can jump an applicator license. You do not have to get licensed as an applicator and then go into field rep. You can jump straight to field rep. Field rep is just a longer test. It's more questions. So you have to study a little bit more. An applicator is 75 questions. Branch 2 is 150. Branch 1's 150 and branch 3 is 150.
Yeah.
And operator's license is actually 150 questions as well.
Okay.
So same amount of questions, just differences is what they're going to ask you and what they focus on. Operator is going to be more laws and regs. Branch 2 is going to be more insect, heavy, or actually you just took it. I think even some of the rules and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So becoming a field rep, once you click onto that, it literally goes step by step. Now, this is what we talked about on an episode. I'm excited to click on it because I'm going to show you guys how stupid this is. It's insane. The list of study material for 150 questions.
Oh yeah.
Unless they've updated it. If they updated it, then I'm going to look really stupid, but because I haven't checked this in a long time. But when you do, I'm going to click on this for you guys. So you go to examination application, pretty easy. It's going to pop up right here. So you're going to have to fill out everything. You're going to have to pay a fee, right? So there's a $50 fee for this. And then fill out all your information and what you're applying for. Okay. Pretty simple. You're going to go down. You're going to have a little questionnaire here, and it's going to run through everything for you. Okay. So pretty easy. You do have to get a passport picture 2x2 here in California, and submit that with that picture, or they do not accept it. From there, it's pretty easy. That's all you have to do on this side until the test has been taken and passed. Oh, there is actually one more thing. Sorry, let's go back. So you have your examination application, and then you have your live scan and fingerprints. Okay. So in the state of California, you have to get a background check. So this is where I once again disagree with California on some stuff, because during an application process, when someone is getting hired, we're not allowed to ask them if they have anything on their record. You're not allowed to. Now, you can do a background check for the hiring process, but you cannot ask them if they have anything on their background. which is stupid in my opinion. Because if you say yes, you do, and I know you're not going to pass, then why would I hire you?
Yeah. It makes no sense.
But I also can make hiring you contingent on if you pass the background check, then I will hire you. But I can't ask you. I just have to do it. And if it comes back bad, then I don't hire you.
Then we deal with it. Yeah.
It's really, really dumb.
It's
Which,
backwards.
if I just asked the question, we could resolve a lot of issues.
Mhm. It's too
So-
easy.
It's way too easy. They're like, yeah. So in the state of California, if you do have a background or you have anything on your record, you won't be able to become licensed. Or in the case of a technician that we have, which is awesome, he went through this process. He actually does have a record, and they put him on a probationary license. So even if you do have something on your record, depending on what it is, you can actually fight to get that license and get licensed, which is awesome for him.
It is.
So they are willing to give second opportunities and give back, which I do appreciate. That whole process is funky. If you guys want to know, just message in, and we can create an episode on that.
Yeah.
We're learning it. I'm literally learning this process as it's going along. I had no idea what it looked like. It's really stupid. But I'm more than happy to, go over it with you guys if you want to know.
Mhm.
Just send us a message and let us know if that
Please
is
do.
something you guys are interested in. But the live scan paperwork is really nice. It's already filled out for you. The only thing that you're going to have to do is put in just basic information for yourself. You go into anywhere that does live scan and fingerprints here in California.
I went to UPS.
Yeah, UPS. Yeah, there's a lot of locations. And then they do everything for you. You just hand them the paperwork. You pay, I think it's like $75 now,
I thought it was a little bit less, but about that. Yeah.
somewhere around there. You just pay the fine, pay the fee, hand them the paperwork. They do everything. You walk out of there. They literally send this to the Structural Pest Control Board. And so once you complete all of this, they're going to get all that paperwork. They submit it to a testing center that is contracted by the state, which is called PSI.
PSI.
Yeah, PSI. What does it look like from there? Now, this you know more better than I do
About PSI.
about the whole process after that.
Yeah. So once you get your live scan back, your application back and approved, at least here in California, the entity PSI is a testing center where you have to schedule your actual branch to test through. Most cases, unless you're in the middle of summer, you can usually get a test scheduled within about 2 weeks or so. I remember when some of the new guys were getting on last June, July, it was about 3-4 weeks out with some of the maxes I've seen for it.
Yeah.
And once it's scheduled, they'll give you an option for as you're scheduling, they have like multiple testing centers. I know here in Sacramento, there's about 3 or 4 that are relatively close enough. I know I drove out to, one that was like 15 miles out, so I can do it like in the next couple days versus the one that's closer to the office that was like 3 weeks out.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so you can actually
nice.
find, similar to how you look up like a driving test or a DMV appointment, just find the location that has the soonest one if you want to take it as soon as possible. You get it scheduled, they send you a confirmation. They actually give you really detailed instructions about where to stand in line, about getting there 15 minutes early, what you have to have, what it's going to look like when you get in there. They take it very seriously in there when it comes
Yes, they do.
to security. So you get pulled in one by one, and they basically ask you to remove anything electronic. So like my Apple Watch, my phones, my keys, wallet, my jacket I had on. I take everything out. And it's very quiet in there.
Mhm.
Everyone's talking about this low, because there's testing going on.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, they get you in this like pre-waiting area. You get your number. They call you up. They have a little bit of a questionnaire that says, okay, do you understand what test you're taking for? They match up your ID. They say, okay, you have X amount of minutes to take the test. It's this many questions. It will tell you if you pass or fail right then and there. You go back out of the lobby. So how the testing works is they pull you in the little cubicles, and they have a very strict rule. Like once we open this door, do not speak. Don't look at anybody. Don't
Yeah.
talk to anybody. Just keep your eyes forward. I'm like, okay, let's do this, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I get in the chair, I have my earplugs in just because it's so deafeningly silent in there. It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
it bothers me. So I'd rather listen to like my own heartbeat, you know? So I just put my
Yeah.
earplugs in.
And they give those to you too.
They do. So they give you earplugs, they give you pen, paper, or pencil paper. Sometimes
Yeah.
they do like dilution rates for some of the questions. But anyways, complete the test and they give you, what is it, like 120 minutes?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think so.
I think it's like 120 minutes. The
Yeah,
cool
maybe
thing
2
is
hours. Yeah.
you can go back and forth between all the questions. So I went through the questions and I looked up at the timer and it was only 30 minutes. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go back through the questions, which I don't know if that was a good idea or not. I mean, I ended up passing, but it's cool
Yeah.
because you can always go back through because there's a lot of questions that will answer other questions.
Yeah.
You know, especially with some of the laws and regs and just some of the wording in there. Complete the test, you go out there and you sit in front of the desk again and they don't say anything because they're not gonna say, yeah, you passed or anything because there's people waiting to take the test, you know, they don't want to create that distraction. So you sit in front of this person behind the glass desk and then she just slides you the paper underneath and it'll say pass or fail on it.
Yeah. Literally.
And then
Yeah.
there is it's not your official license, but it's almost like like when you get your driver's license and they give you like the piece of paper saying you're going to get the official one mailed in.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they send everything. Well, so they send over some of those results, but you get paperwork, and this is what the paperwork's going to look like. So let me see if they'll pull up the exact paperwork. Yep. So this is it. So this is the application that you have to fill out, and this is actually done by the company at this point or the operator. And so just basic stuff, right? So it's just going to go through and make sure that you have all the hours done and you're passing that person during that application saying they have done this and they are eligible to be branch two, right? So pretty simple on on that side of it. And then obviously if you fail, you have to reapply. So here it is, reexamination application. So if you fail, you got to go through that. Uh, and then you got to pay a fine or a fee as well. And then from there, you can look up your license and everything. Now let's go back because we did not talk about study material because a lot of people say, well, what do I have to study?
Great question.
It is a great question. And the state is just so awesome and so helpful. Like,
Let's see what they got for us.
let's see what they got for us. Here we go. All right. So you look up the Structural Pest Control Board. Okay. So you have um really? That's it?
Is this really it?
That wow. Okay, this is better. We're improving. This was a better list. It's still oh my gosh. Okay. Well, so if you can see it, we're looking up at a screen. So the Structural Pest Control Board Act, you can read the entire act. That's fun. I don't want to do that though. What about the guide? So here's a guide to pest control operations, 7th edition. You can go through the handbook of pest control, or you can go over the safety series, the N series. Outside the state, you guys probably have no idea what that is. And I'm not going to go into that right now. But you have to have it posted in your office at all times. So we have it. But I guess you can read that. You got the field guide to structural pests, and then you also have the safe and effective use of pesticides and the bed bug handbook. Okay. I have the bed bug handbook. Have you seen it? You haven't seen it? It's sitting right underneath a monitor.
Oh, it's to raise the screen a little bit.
Yeah.
That's right.
This thing is massive. I tried to read it. Good luck. Good luck. Dude, that thing sucks. I mean, it is like so scientific and it's just dry. So try to read it. I couldn't get through it.
I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah. If you can get it out from underneath that monitor,
That's true.
someone's going to fight you for it. So there's your study material. I do not suggest this study material. I would say use the Termite Terry book. Termite Terry, you can find, I think he has different branches as well. But you can find the branch 2 Termite Terry book And that will literally go step by step and get you to pass. It even has tests at the end of each chapter. And they say as long as you're passing those tests at 80% or higher, you're going to pass the actual branch 2 test.
Yeah.
So that's the idea behind it. So we get the branch 2 termite terry book, we give it to our guys, have at it, have fun. They usually pass it on the first try.
Mhm.
Pretty rare that they don't, unless they start doing some funky stuff, which I've always been against. I never liked it. I didn't have to do it. I know some guys have used it and it worked. Some guys have used it and it absolutely killed them. But they'll go and do like Quizlet
Mm.
and they jump on those websites and it doesn't. It's worked for some, but there was a guy who like took it 4 or 5 times and didn't pass. But he was only doing like Quizlet
Mhm.
stuff. He wouldn't read the termite terry book.
Yeah.
And then finally, when he read it and took those tests, he passed.
Mhm.
So I'm like, just don't do the Quizlet.
Just don't. Yeah.
If you don't have to, I wouldn't. Because anyone can go on there and create questions and answers.
Mhm.
So you can get really random stuff that may not even mean anything in the actual testing center.
Sure. Sure.
So, and in the testing center PSI, they pull about 1,000 different questions
Mhm.
and kind of pull it into that 150 or 75 question, whatever you're going after, if it's applicator or field rep. But they'll pull in 1,000 different questions into that. And that's why you get some of those that are repeats,
Mhm.
or they answer the question because your answer is now the question and the question is now the answer.
Yeah.
A- And they get funky with it. But it's just because it's an automatic pull. So everybody's test is always different.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know how many different tests they have or if it's always randomized.
Mhm.
Maybe it is, but the Structural Pest Control Board will send out a letter every few years and they actually will get pest control guys to go in and to write out questions for the test.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they'll pay you money for it and stuff to go do it.
That's cool.
And you can go volunteer. And yeah. So it's kind of cool what they do with it. But I also don't like that because then you get these weird guys that are like, you got to throw bait up in an attic, and they're old school. And then they have these weird questions. And it's like, why would I need to know that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I've had some of those questions in there, or they'll ask it really, really weird.
Yeah.
It's like the double negative.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, why don't you just ask it normally?
Yeah.
Why are you making it a trick question?
Mhm.
I have the internet out in the field, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm not going to be stranded out there.
No, I know what you mean. Like, and I don't know, like, and I'm kind of just spitballing on what the question was, but to your point, they'll ask certain questions like, which is not the most ineffective way to treat
Yeah.
for cockroaches.
Yes.
And it's like some of the answers are like remove harborage or or sprinkle granular bait or treat crack and crevice
Yeah.
or all the above. And it's like I have to like read the question like 4 times. I'm like, what is it asking me?
Yes.
Because all of these make sense. you
Yeah.
know?
Well, and that's really what it is. I mean, they do some weird stuff. So like my testing, and they've changed the tests multiple
Yeah.
times because when I took it, it was very pest heavy,
Mhm.
which once again I disagreed with because it was
Yeah.
like, how many nodes does the Argentine ant have? And it's like, why would I need to know that?
Yeah.
And I can't even identify it out in the field
Yeah.
unless I got a magnifying glass.
Yeah. Or that thing that Sylvia had. A little.
Yeah. You're sucking up
Yeah.
ants and then like you're taking them back to your lab. Like,
Yeah.
come on. But they wanted you to be able to identify some of them. And one of them was there was a beetle, a cigarette beetle, and I think it was a cigarette beetle. But anyway, they had these 2 beetles. The only way to know the difference between it, because Target, they sell products. They actually came out with a book to help pass the branch 2 as well. And that's the book I studied. I didn't actually have the termite terry book. But they had these 2 beetles, and it's like the antenna, one's curved and one's not, or one has a little ball in the end and the other one doesn't. Identical beetles. Literally, it's the antenna. And it even says you can't identify this without a microscope.
But identify it for the test.
Yeah, but you got to know.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that beetle has this and that beetle doesn't. How would I ever know this out in the field?
That's so weird, dude. That's so weird because that's what I studied for my test. I
Yeah.
studied like heavy. I mean, I try to break it up pretty evenly, but I try to get as much like just pest ID knowledge as I could.
Yeah.
And I shit you not, it was about 5% of the entire test,
Yeah.
which was cool for me because I was kind of stressing. I'm like, I got to know the difference between all these different wasps and all these different
Oh,
like
yeah. You got
pantry
it.
pests. And like, oh, obviously I know enough to treat for it in the field, but some of the stuff that they went over in the, it's like all the differences between the nodes and like where they breed and how, what's their gestation period and where they lay eggs. And I'm like, I'm never going to use this.
No.
Like, I'm never going to use this. And then they ended up not asking all those questions, which was great, you know?
Yeah. No, that was for me. It was super heavy on insects and they actually gave you percentage breakdowns. So
Mhm.
after you got done with the test, if you failed, they'd tell you how much you failed by. And I think my first time was like 3 questions or 6 questions. I was right there. Um, but then they would say, well, 10% is on safety and rules, and 30% on pests, and this percentage is on that, and this percentage is on that. And so they had the percentages broken down, and a big majority of it was pests, and
Mhm.
that's what I failed on.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, cool. If I just study the pests, I'm going to pass.
Mhm.
So I just went super heavy on the pest identification, and then I came out of the test and I passed.
Yeah.
It was easy at that point. But they literally go over the nodes, the different ants, and they're going over dozens of different ants that you have to memorize. They had all the pantry pests that you had to memorize, cockroaches you had to memorize, the wasps, the bees you had to memorize, different spiders you had to memorize. It was like, okay,
Yeah.
like I don't know. So it was way different, but they end up taking that away
They
because you
did.
didn't have a ton of identification. It's more
Yeah.
scenario based.
Yeah, they had a lot more scenario based stuff. A lot of the gimme ones, well, which was cool. Sorry if I'm ruining it for anybody else. Were the label questions
Oh
because
yeah,
they'd
those are
have a
easy.
label and then like for 10 questions, it would be on that scrollable label
Yeah,
where it's like, what is a dilution rate if you're treating for ants in this area? And it's like, what am I missing here? So I just go to like scroll down to where it said it
yeah,
and it picked the answer. I'm
yeah,
like double, triple checking, but they had like 10 or 15 questions just on that. But
yeah,
I'd say a big bulk of the questions were situational, like out in the field. They'd say something along the lines of which of these treatment methods is the most effective for a customer who is dealing with ants inside, right? And then it would
yeah,
have just some of them were obvious, like just stupid. It's like baiting on the outside, or not that stupid, but you get
yeah.
what I'm trying to say, right?
No, no, no. I get it because I didn't have the scenario based questions. They
Oh
didn't
yeah.
ask me what I would do in a certain scenario. It was like pest identification, what chemicals are good and bad,
Hmm.
um, like how many people can be on the structural pest control board, whatever, and how, at the ag department. And they asked like those types of questions,
Yeah.
you know. They didn't even touch anything scenario based.
Really.
Mhm. Yeah, nothing. Wasn't nothing about any that I can remember. I do not remember at all, like what you would do in this scenario.
Hmm.
Mhm. I think they
Interesting.
ended up changing that because a lot of people did complain about, like, how am I supposed to know what this insect is?
Hmm.
Like, isn't that why people study to become an entomologist?
Yeah. Is
So
that
it's
their
like,
job?
yeah, but I'm branch two, so I can identify a pest and I don't even have the degree.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird.
Mhm.
But yet you can, if you're in California, you got a branch two, you can say that's an ant.
Yeah. I guess so.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what ant, but it's an ant.
It's an ant. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of funky, but I hope this helped. I don't even remember who asked about this process and what it looks like, but that's what it looks like. The applicator is the exact same thing as the branch two or the branch three or the branch one. The difference is the box that you check
Yeah.
and the amount of questions you're going to actually have on your test,
Mhm.
and then study material, of course.
Yeah.
But if you're going for your general pest, branch two, super easy, termite terry, follow the instructions online, pay everything, you're going to get licensed literally like that.
Yeah.
And first try,
Mhm.
if you're staying focused. Like for me on the operators, and we'll go over this on the follow-up episode to make sure, kind of show them what you're going through and what we're doing to get the operators. I passed that first try
Mhm.
because they make you go through so many hours of classes before you can even take your operators test.
Mhm.
So it's kind of funky on that. But when I sat down to take the operators, it was like, oh, this is easy.
Mhm.
I've already been doing the branch two for 2 years because you have to have 2 years before you can take your operators. But then I just studied for 8 or 12 hours or whatever they asked for
Yeah.
on all the rules and regs.
Yeah.
And you had to take tests during that whole process.
Mm.
So I was like, "Oh, this is easy."
It was a warm up for you.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I literally sat down. It was just like click, 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 click. Yep, 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 yep,
Nice,
yep.
yeah.
Passed, walked out of there easy. So I felt actually the operator's test was easier than the branch 2.
Interesting, just how it was structured out for you.
Well, and because I came into the branch 2 literally with 0 technician experience. I was not in a vehicle. I wasn't spraying anything. I
Mhm.
literally I did cells and then I took the test.
Mhm.
And the only book I was studying was the target book.
Yeah,
Like
that's
that's all
it.
I had. And so I studied that and that was it.
Yeah.
So then it was like, okay, operator, I already had now 2 years experience plus I just went through this massive course. So then it was like, oh, okay, this is easy.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I just walked in, got it done and out. Super easy. So there it is, guys. I hope that helped. I hope this answered a lot of your questions and doubts on where to go. I know sometimes it gets a little scary when you're getting into something new or a different, realm. And it's kind of, hey, the company did it for me the entire time. What do I do when I'm not with that company and who's not going to show me how to do it or not doing it for me?
Yeah.
And it's pretty simple. They made it very, very easy just for the general user, whoever wants to get on and actually apply for it. It's really easy to do. So it just takes a little bit of money and some paperwork, and you pretty much got it.
Yeah, I like that. And also, guys, follow along because I'm getting my operator's license, taking the tests, getting all that study material. And, I'm excited for it. I'm excited to share it with you guys because a lot of you guys do ask on that side as well for the operator's license. If you do have any questions on what we went over today, please feel free to message in. I mean, a lot of this stuff is available on that pestboard.ca.gov, and it's pretty recognizable. It has the same header as like the DMV website. Like, you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
can tell it's a state entity website. So if you see that,
Yeah.
you're in the right place. But again, any questions, please let us know. You can send us a message directly through our Instagram, through our Facebook, even comment on YouTube. I mean, I know that we just rolled out the YouTube, but leave comments, likes, any questions you can put there. We'll try to answer them in the Q&A. We have episodes that drop every Monday and Thursday. But thank you again for listening to the DNA Pest Control Podcast.